This is the May at Mac 2020 presentation for the Honors Integrated Science program at McMaster University, what we affectionately call iSci. My name is Chad Harvey. I'm an associate professor in the School for Interdisciplinary Science, and I've been part of the design, administrative, and teaching team of the iSci program since its inception in 2009. The most common question we always get for iSci is, what is it? So what is iSci? Well, basically, it's a 4-year interdisciplinary research-based program. We have very small class sizes, around 64 students per year, so the enrollment is limited. With that, we concentrate on small class sizes, but big custom courses. Within those, we have very innovative interdisciplinary instruction with collaborative, self-directed learning as the foundation of that with each of the students. We also have dedicated learning and administrative space, both in the Thode Library for Science and Engineering, as well as our own integrated science laboratory for the integrated science students in the General Science Building. The entrance requirements for the integrated science program are 1, grade 12 or 12U English, advanced functions, calculus and vectors, as well as 2 of the 3 grade 12U sciences, biology, chemistry, physics. Again, that's 2 of the 3. We highly recommend all 3 because all 3 plus earth science and science literacy will be covered in the first year of the iSci program. The 6th requirement then is 1 additional U or M course. And as I said, we recommend students have all 3 grade 12U sciences, biology, chemistry, physics. In addition to that, students need to apply directly to the integrated science program using our online supplementary application. That opens around mid-November each year, so the upcoming one will be November 2020, and the applications for that close in early February, so again, that'll be February 2021. The supplementary application is a series of 6 short answer questions, which we use in addition to grades to make the selections for the program. Now, grades just get you in the door. We read every single application after a student has achieved a minimum average of 85. So grades are the first step, but then the supplementary application is the real application to the program. All supplementary applications are read by 3 individuals. That's a faculty, a staff, and a student. And it's the votes on those applications that actually get students an offer to the program. Not their marks, not their grades, not their favorite color. The next most popular question we get is, what's the difference? And that's, what's the difference between integrated science, the life sciences gateway program, and the direct entry Bachelor of Health Sciences program? The bottom line is, all 3 of these programs are a 4-year honors degree. And those will lead you to your future. The biggest difference is size and scope. iSci is the smallest of those programs, but also the broadest in what it covers. Life sciences covers basically all of your sciences, with a concentration on things that are applied to global health and humans, where the Bachelor of Health Sciences program is concentrated particularly and specifically on health sciences and the human condition. How is integrated science organized? Well, the iSci program focuses on learning by doing. In other words, you learn science by doing science, and by doing science through research. It's not memorization of concepts, but it's through application and critical thinking. We basically take students from high school work to independent original research, and we do this in a very scaffolded and stage-stepped approach. The projects are oriented rather than course-oriented. In other words, the whole program is oriented and designed around the research projects, not around the courses. There's 4 interdisciplinary research projects in level 1, and they range from 3 to 6 weeks. And indeed, we have actually RP0 or Project 0, where we introduce students to the concepts associated with doing group collaborative research. In level 2, we have 6 projects that are run from 6 to 8 weeks. In level 3, there's 5 research projects. And then finally, in your 4th year, you do a mandatory honors thesis over the entire year, the 2 terms of the year. The key here is that modules emphasize the relationships between discipline areas and the applications of techniques and concepts. Again, being project-oriented, students learn science by doing science and seeing how the sciences and those traditional scientific disciplines and perspectives intersect and integrate to solve the questions and the problems that are relevant to society and reality. So how is the program and those courses designed? Again, we're being project-oriented. In any one year, students typically take 10 courses. And at McMaster, the typical course is equivalent to 3 units. So over the 4 years of this honors degree, those big courses that I told you about earlier break down like this. In level 1, we have what we call iSci 1A24. That is equivalent, a single course is equivalent to 8 introductory science courses, as you see here in the dark red maroon bar. In addition to that, students get 2 electives. And those are basically 1 per term and represented by the gray rectangles. In level 2, we have integrated science 2A18. So here we have, again, a core of integrated science, and we open up more elective room with students having 2 electives per term. In levels 3 and 4, we have iSci 3A12 and iSci 4A12, respectively. Again, students, as they move through the program, increasing their amount of elective space so they can tailor their particular educational journey to what interests them. Let's continue on now with that structure of integrated science, iSci 1A24. So how is iSci 1A24, this first year, really big 24-unit course, broken down? Again, it's project-oriented, but students aren't expected to know how to do research and know how to do research projects when they come in September. So here we are, it's the fall. Students arrive. We break the term down into 6-week quarters or segments, basically. In the first 6 weeks in the integrated science program, students get classes mainly. And this is to get them up to speed, teach them all the foundations, and make sure everyone in the class is on a relatively the same playing field. We call it foundations. Our students effectively call it boot camp. In addition to those classes, as I referred to earlier, students have RP0. This is their Intro to Research Projects research project. In this project, they learn how to work and collaborate, how to write and integrate information, as well as what exactly the structure and the program expectations are when students are doing these collaborative research projects. This again happens all in the first 6 weeks. Then we have our midterm break, and coming back in the last half, the second 6 weeks of first term in the fall, again, there's more classes, but these classes and the content covered in them are now integrated with 2 3-week research projects. The first of those we call RP1, or Planetary Exploration, and the second is called RP2, affectionately, Drugs, Doses, and Biodistribution. I'll have more exactly on what and how a research project is broken down in the specifics later on using RP1, Planetary Exploration, as an example. Then we have the holiday break after some exams, and we move on to the winter term, where again we break it down into 2 6-week quarters. In the first half, we have RB3, Sustainable Energy in Challenging Environments, and classes and content delivery that are incorporated with those. And as you can see, the relative amount of class time decreases and the time allocated to the research project increases. Students then have a midterm break again, and the last 6 weeks of the year, the last 6 weeks of the winter term is RP4, Cancer, a 21st Century Plague. Again, final exams, and then a 4-month summer. So again, that example that I was moving on to, here's RP1, Exoplanetary Exploration. The question we're asking with this is, what do we know about planets outside the solar system? We call these exoplanets. Additional questions we're looking at are, what might life be like, exist? Does it exist elsewhere in the universe? Are we alone? Or if we're to search for other life, what would it look like? And what are some of the challenges and benefits of planetary space missions? What are the effects on the human body, on society, the human condition? That sort of topic and questions. These are all specifically laid out in what we call a project pack. And this is a pic of what that project pack looks like for the students. And within that, we break down each of the individual disciplines and the specific learning outcomes for what we want the students to learn and how we want to integrate the information from each of the disciplines. In case here, we have mathematics, calculating planetary motion, physics, how do planets move, gravitational pulls, what will be a particular orbit that a space module may take. From the chemistry, we look at conditions and states of water. We can also look at thrust and rocket propulsion. From the life science perspective, we look at basically what is the definition of life. If there's signs of life or what types of life we look for, we wouldn't be looking for an elephant. We'd be likely looking for some sort of bacterium or archaea. From the earth science perspective, what are the analogies between Earth, the planet we live on, and other exoplanets that we might come across? What are some of the possible landing sites going to be? How would you choose a good landing site? And experimental sites, and why would you choose a particular site over another if you were doing exoplanetary experimentation? Within the laboratory, students actually learn how to design an experiment, both at the undergraduate level and also thinking creatively and expanding what particular research and research procedures would actual space researchers and space scientists be doing. And then, of course, throughout this, we thread science literacy, and in this particular case, students are learning in particular how to use and present information, and that's going to be part of that scaffolding as they go through. Now, this project does change and evolve every year because the data is being updated. When we first started doing RP1, it was called Mission to Mars, but then NASA did it. Not that they've landed people on Mars yet, but there has been rovers that have landed there and collected the information. So now we've moved beyond our own solar system and we incorporate exoplanetary exploration. The next question is, how will students learn in iSci? Well, iSci is not your normal program, so we don't have your normal lecture either. We have what I referred to earlier as icons. These are your interactive concept seminars. Sometimes it may be direct lecturing. Sometimes it's going to be case studies or discourse. Sometimes it's going to be workshops. In addition, every single week of the program, for the most part, once we get up to speed and start doing the research projects, students are introduced to invited speakers. We bring in addition to their normal classes with academics in the field that they have as their instructional professors, we bring in experts in the fields from drugs or cancer or whatever, basically to give them the specifics of what is actually going on in this research area or in this application area in the field and the world beyond what they see in the classroom. We integrate this and couple this with the labs. There's a great variety of labs, and we have our own, as I said before, lab space in the general science building that has chemistry fume hoods. It has open tables for wet labs and biology, dry labs and computer software for physics, and also those integrated labs where students have to put things together. We also have Synthesis, which is a student-run, student-organized 10-day scientific conference. The students organize them all themselves, and this is something that they can learn how their science literacy, how are conferences organized, how are they run, and they actually earn academic credit for being part of the administrative team, in addition to presenting at synthesis. Now, as an academic and a researcher, when I go to a scientific conference, they're usually about 4 days in length. As I said before, this is a 10-day conference. It's magical, it's impressive, and it's an absolute celebration of what these integrated science students can really put on. Moving further, iSci is what we call a learning community. We really try to be a family. The students have their own independent learning room we call the iStudy. It's dedicated, it's magnetic key access only to integrated science students. We have what we call the iTeach team, which are the professors and instructors, our science librarian, the staff and administration, and we all work together. Integration is not something we look for, it's something we actively do. In addition to that, like most academic programs, we have the iSci Society with its executive. They run social programs. They run the big SIB program that I'll get into in a little bit, as well as academic, social, and support systems. So what's that first year level 1 student experience really about? Now, with a class that is as big, or a course that is as big as iSci 1A24, we really have to figure out how are students being assessed. And that's something we've been working on, and we revamp and evolves every single year. The assessment style is matched to what we want students to get out of that content. There's assignments, there's quizzes, there's presentations, and of course there's exams. And those vary across the 6 disciplines that are integrated within iSci 1A24. Those being math, physics, chemistry, life sciences, which is biology and psychology, earth science, as well as science literacy. The assessment for that is broken down into 40% projects, 35% individual written exams, and 25% coursework. That coursework we call continuous, which is weekly quizzes or lab reports or writing assignments. Again, highly varied there. All of that is then recorded on what we call the iSci program transcript. On the official McMaster University transcript, students will get 1 grade for iSci 1A24. It is 1 course. We then attach to that specific breakdown of students' proficiencies in each of these 6 discipline areas. And that gets updated and goes with them with their official university transcript as they go through for reference letters or apply for professional schools at the end. So this was all first year of the program. Now let's move on to level 2, iSci 2A18. Just to remind you, now this is equivalent to 6 level 2 courses, and students can fill that elective room with 2 electives per year. More specifically, we also do 6 interdisciplinary research projects across the second year of the program. Those topics include plant-animal interactions, which is ecology, experimental design, and statistics, history of the Earth, which is also it's the geology and the earth science, as well as the history of science. And the end deliverable for that particular project is actually a published book. We also do drug discovery, thermodynamics, neuroscience, and students then at the end of the year do their first real independent research project, which we call the enrichment project, which gives students the chance to go further in depth, more specific, choosing from topics and concepts that they've covered across those other 5 research projects during their second year. Threaded and integrated with this, we have our laboratory practicum, where students again are learning those particular lab skills that are pertinent to each of those research projects that they're experiencing, as well as we continue mathematics and science literacy throughout the second year. Looking at the student perspective from level 2, it's all about those interdisciplinary research projects. And students really like the choice that they get to enrich in a particular project that they find more interesting to themselves. They also build on developing that successful school-life balance. It's not quite the shocking transition that you see in first year, but they have those practices that they learn in first year, and now they can use it as a springboard moving forward and looking to the rest of their university careers. Some of the opportunities also include iSci society roles, more publishing and writing opportunities, as well as starting in second year, students can help to organize and take part in synthesis and the student symposium. In addition, starting in level 2, students can concentrate their elective room and focus to a particular discipline. These disciplines are coming from the different departments within the Faculty of Science here at McMaster. And there's 10 different options currently that students can choose to concentrate in. So they still have the integrated science core, iSci 1A24, 2A18, 3A12, but then they choose to concentrate their elective room in a way that they will get what's equivalent to going or basically pursuing a combined honors in a particular discipline of their choosing: biochemistry, biology, chemistry, chemical biology, medical biological physics. You can read the rest off the slide. The reason why we call this a concentration and not a combined honors is because some of the topics in the projects and the research that the students do within their core of iSci contributes towards this. And that's why, again, it's a concentration, not a combined honors. The way that looks then, when you look at the courses, is these darker hashed courses would be those filling the concentration. As opposed to if a student went unconcentration, or as our students like to say, not from concentrate, their elective room would be a lot more open and they can choose. So those are the first 2 years. In level 3, iSci 3A12, the research projects are 5 in number, some of which they have to wait till they're in third year to do, because the first one we do is wine science. We have to wait for all of the students in the cohort to be 19 years of age, because they will be doing the full sensory experience of the science of wine, including a private tour of Jackson Triggs Winery with one of the originators and owners, Alan Jackson. He's actually an alum of McMaster, getting his PhD in chemistry from McMaster. In addition to wine science, students do a forensic investigation, looking at everything from the physics of bloodstain analysis to why fingerprints are still better than DNA, to how do you how do you convert the scientific data in a way that can be communicated within the arenas of law. Students also do Light the Universe in Everything, where they actually do the teaching of the content. So they're actually learning some pedagogical techniques as well. And they'll do some more integrative research in a topic of climate change, which again is always evolving. And our instructor for that one, Dr. Jay Berder, always brings in a panel of experts where there is a debate and a symposium associated with that one. Finally, students finish their third year with what we call the independent project. And again, this is part of that stage-based approach to doing science, learning science, and being active researchers. And this is a term long. So the second year enrichment project is about quarter of a year or half a term. The independent project in third year is now a full term, leading on to being better able to do their own independent research and incorporating science literacy as we go through. From that one term of independent research that we see in third year, we now have a springboard to move on to their thesis, and that is iSci 4A12. So there's a 9-unit thesis component with a faculty supervisor that is either within iSci or the School for Interdisciplinary Science, or external too. As long as it involves science or the application of science, it is a completely valid topic. We've had students do everything from theoretical quantum physics to political science and the analysis of the American political administration. In addition to that 9 units of thesis, which runs the full year, students have 3 units of an interdisciplinary seminar. And it runs, again, the gamut from applying to grants, how to give a proper handshake, interview simulations. Are you going to apply to grad school? Are you going to apply to a professional school? Looking at etiquette, what have you. In addition to the things that I've already talked about, students in level 2 to 4 have additional opportunities. One of them, which we run every year, is an interdisciplinary field camp to Iceland. We call Explore 3IS3. And students go for 10 days for a 3-unit course to Iceland, where we have research colleagues there. And we look at everything from the flora, the fauna, but how the activity, the land of ice and fire, the glaciers and the volcanoes, the volcanic activity shapes the land and the people associated with it. In the 3rd year, students also have the opportunity to do a 3rd-year exchange, and that is to the University of Leicester in the UK. And at Leicester, we have a sister program called the Natural Sciences program, where they as well do basically a very similar teaching and pedagogical design and content coverage, research-based learning. And actually, myself and some of my colleagues here at McMaster are active pedagogical collaborators with several of the professors and teaching stream faculty at the University of Leicester. It's an absolutely amazing place. I took my first sabbatical there in 2016 as well, and would love to go back anytime. Finally, you've now completed 4 years of the Integrated Science program. It's graduation. With successful completion of graduating, you get an honors BSc in Integrated Science. It's not just science, but it is a BSc in Integrated Science, with the options of a concentration in one of those 10 concentration choices, or a minor, or you may have a concentration and a minor, or you could choose to be unconcentrated and have more than one minor. At McMaster, minors are chosen upon graduation. So it's something that you need to plan for, but you can actually declare whether you have a minor or not at the time of graduation. So now that you've graduated, students, what can you do with an iSci degree? iSci completely and utterly equips you and makes you ready for graduate studies, be an MC, a PhD, an MD, PhD. Almost every year we actually have students get into MD, PhD programs, which are highly selective. Most programs take about 6 students a year. And again, you're going to be prepared whether you want to do grad school at an interdisciplinary scope or be highly discipline specific and focused. You're also adequately prepared and equipped to go on to professional school, whether that be medicine, law, dentistry, pharmacy, teaching. We have students every year going to every one of these different streams. Also, you'll be highly prepared if you choose to go into research, development, government, policy, academia, industry, what have you. The bottom line is iSci graduates will be and are ideally prepared to be the future scientific leaders. I hope this has answered your questions about what the Integrated Science program is all about, the opportunities that we have, and how we actually teach students the program. So with that, if there's any questions, do not hesitate to reach out and contact us. The email is isci@mcmaster.ca. My name is Dr. Chad Harvey. Hopefully I've spoken slowly enough and you can pause and go back, but I thank you for your time and your attention. All the best in these trying times.